Winning is not a sometime thing. It's an all-time thing. You don't win once in a while. You don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. Vince Lombardi. My friends, we push ourselves each and every day to figure out these charts, to follow trends, and to be successful. We want you to know, all of our Patreon members, this Wednesday, we have our live Q and answer session. Of course, we're going to be talking about with you Bitcoin. Bitcoin up for the day 10.26%. And of course, as you look at our charts, you see where that last weekly vertical crossover on Bitcoin was, somewhere around the $10,000 to $12,000 mark, to a high of over $31,000. And of course, when we backtrack on our Bitcoin chart, we can see over and over again how wonderfully accurate our practice trades have been. Now, we followed Bitcoin with everyone for a little while this last year, I think it was 3 months maybe, we followed it. We did the same with real estate, with oil, and with silver. And of course, silver, another big gainer for the day, 3.17%. We talked to you about tracking that over this last week. May have a weekly vertical crossover by the end of the week on that. For all of our Patreon friends, we're going to be going over these charts and more. Go ahead, email in your questions. If you're interested in having those live once a month question and answer sessions, follow the link, become a Patreon supporter, and of course, you'll be privy to all of those conversations. We want to have as many of you with us as possible. Any of the 3 Patreon levels of support, we will let you into that conversation. Be glad to have you. Plus, you'll get all the special trainings, the Bitcoin training, the short chart training, the long chart training, and of course, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. Consider Patreon support. You guys are the backbone of the channel. You're the ones that help pay the bills for the texting service, the website, the upkeep, the emails, all the things that we do, and we appreciate you so much. Consider Patreon support. Let's jump into these charts. We see stocks and bonds down for the day. Gold is a booming up, and I'm hoping by the end of the week we're going to have a weekly vertical crossover. But first, as always, let's go to the S&P 500 on the weekly chart. How have we started the week off? Day 1, red spinning top, still an open box spinning top, but went from a big green up candle with that nice high to, again, look at where things boomed up to at one point. We see the high, 375.45. That's actually higher than the high last week. We look at the low, we see the low at 364.82. And of course, what happened was, we'll see more of that as to what happened during the day when we get to that half-day candle. Price percent oscillator, of course, precipitously pulling over, heading down, hasn't crossed over yet. And of course, we can't call a crossover until the end of the week. But we might have a weekly vertical crossover by the end of the week. We'll keep our eye on things. Of course, we are not in a trade on the S&P 500 right now. Why? Because our 2-day chart took us out of that. When? Took us out of that actually back on the 21st. We did quite well in that trade. Started off slow, somewhere around the 355 or 356 mark, went up to a high of 372.46. And of course, the point where we ended that weekly vertical crossover going down, the 368 mark. So again, somewhere between 356 and 368 would have been a nice gain on that over a rather short period of time, just a few weeks. Now, what do we see happening on the 2-day chart? Of course, we're looking at the first day of the latest 2-day candle. It's a red spinning top, also a solid red spinning top. Big wicks on the top and bottom. Price percent oscillator was already negative, heading down more. Derivative oscillator negative. We'll expect that candle to finish drawing, of course, on Tuesday. What do we see on the half-day chart? Lots of volatility in the morning, up and down, and then heading over down in the afternoon, getting close to the low in the morning. We can see where things are really spiking down in the morning, and the derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum. Price percent oscillator crossed over, going down. So that's where we are as far as the S&P goes. Maybe we'll have a chance to short the S&P in a practice trade at the end of the week. How might you do that? Oh, I don't know, with maybe ProShares short of the S&P. It goes up when the S&P goes down. I sure want you to try to practice trade that, along with, of course, those of you who've taken our options training, which is available for free to our Patreon members, that 3-part series. First thing we send out to our new Patreon members is that training. Want you to have that, so of course you could short the S&P potentially, and I say potentially because that might not happen, but we'd like you to be able to practice trade that. You could short that with a put, potentially. Now, let's move from the S&P to the Nasdaq 100. What do we see going on there on the weekly chart? Of course, that crossed over going up back on Friday the 18th of December. And we see a red spinning top immediately appearing. We look at the S&P, we look at the PPO. There's a lot of initials here. The price percent oscillator and the derivative oscillator. Again, trying to, it's losing energy. Derivative oscillator also losing energy. Red spinning top. We can see that movement's right there on the line as we start off the week with a lot of weakness, down 1.41%. Look at that 2-day chart. Of course, it's trying to cross over. We'll see what happens at the end of the day on Tuesday. Is all this movement going to continue down, or are things going to bounce back? Right now, we can't call that yet because we don't have a 2-day crossover. So we'll keep our eye on things. Of course, your profit and loss bands are to be in effect. Those you don't know what profit and loss bands are, you don't know a lot about what it is we do here. The minute you enter a trade, you set your profit and loss bands. Those are, in fact, instead of trying to explain that to you, I'm going to put that training at the end of today's video. I want you to have that. We're going to put that at the end of the video today. Please take that training. There's also a special training for all of our subscribers. Of course, you subscribe for free at chartingwealth.com. Cutting losses is the key to winning. I want you to have that too, to understand more in depth what we are talking about. Before you enter any trade, you know the projected profit that you want to achieve, and you also know where you're going to cut your losses if things don't work. Why? Because it's a dynamic marketplace. Nobody can read the future. Nobody knows what's always going to happen. Crazy things happen. Whether it's a terrorist event, whether it's something bad happening in the economy, to a political figure, I mean, you name it, bad weather, any number of things can cause the markets to turn on a dime. That is why we always set our profit hopes and our acceptable losses at the time we enter our trades. That's where we are on the 2-day, looking for a potential 2-day crossover going down. What's happening with the half-day? That's where we can see all that volatility in the morning, followed by more down move in the afternoon. See, it didn't peak up in the afternoon like it did in the morning. Same thing on the S&P. Derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum, price percent oscillator heading down. Now, let's leave stocks, go to bonds. Bonds down just a little bit for the day, 0.12%. So how do we see the week shaping up? Going into the second week so far of lots of indecision, perhaps a bottoming out. If stocks start to crash, what would we expect bonds to do? Move up as money flows from stocks into bonds, into a safer haven. Isn't happening just yet, but maybe that's what is being portended by this downward and then sideways slide. Price percent oscillator flat, derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. Now we're just 1 day into a 5-day candle. Things could change a lot. 2-day, again, indecision, red spinning top, almost a doji. Price percent oscillator is moving up. Derivative oscillator heading up. Look at the half day. We can see lots of indecision in the morning and then some upward movement in the afternoon. Overall, though, down for the day, 0.12%. So we'll keep our eye on bonds. Remember, weekly still in a confirmed down move. 2 days in a confirmed up move. So we'll see, is the 2-day going to win out? There'll be enough energy to pull the weekly around, or will bonds crash, stocks regain a momentum, and a 2-day recross going down? We don't know yet. That's why we study these charts every day. They will tell us. They will tell us because we read them each and every day. Now let's go to gold from bonds. Gold up 2.23%. That is beautiful. We're starting the week off with a booming big up candle. That's good to see. Price percent oscillator still negative, but heading up. Derivative oscillator's gone to green. We'll see if we have a weekly vertical crossover at the end of the week. What do we see on the 2-day chart? Spiking up. That's nice to see. Nice big green up candle moving right up that 2-day trend line beautifully. Price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator up. What about the half day? Up in the morning and about the same, a little bit higher in the afternoon. As far as the candlestick itself goes, 2.23%. That's beautiful. I'm hoping by the end of the week that we're able to jump into a practice trade on gold. I'm ready for gold to take off. But may or may not happen. These charts will tell us. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters. Don't forget, special training into today's video on profit and loss bands. And please buy our book if you want to support us. And of course, most of all, Patreon support. That is highly appreciated. God bless. All the best.